I got that cord.
Yep.
We didn't have time to try it, but we could.
Okay.
We'll try it with the first phone call. We'll try it with Randall. So we're the video let me try that again. The video platforms are online. Just wait for the radio side here in another minute.
Okay.
I'm actually trying to get a little bit of a charge in the phone. It's only about 40%. That's if we stay on the air. We've been losing. The power's been going on and off.
Oh, yeah. I had a power outage today. I had kind of like a power blip.
Yeah, we browned out a couple of times, and the internet did go at one point. Oh, 8 o'clock. What do you say?
Let me mute.
Am I on? I think I am. Okay. Let's see. Let's get to it.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. But it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view. Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Cause it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. And it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 Kennedy for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
Well, look at that. It is 8:02. Welcome, welcome, welcome from my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States, North American continent, Western Hemisphere. On this planet Earth, the only one we have, third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for Tuesday, the 16th. Yes, I did. Yes, I forgot the date. The 16th of July, 2024. Quick warning, I guess. Which I say, I mean, I think the worst of it's over, but just a quick sort of warning kind of thing. We're having quite a round of thunderstorms coming through the area, and they started around oh goodness, probably 5 o'clock local time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, and have continued throughout the evening right up till now. Even though I have darkening curtains over here, they're sound absorbing and darkening, easy for me to say, or not so much. I can tell that it's quite dark outside. It should be light. The sun should still be out even at 8 o'clock. And it's not. So I think there might be another round coming through. So if we disappear, that's why. We are having power fluctuations, as well as the one sort of brownout that we had, the internet went out with it. So I hope that you'll be, if we should disappear, that would be why. I don't think the brown suit, I don't think the black booted brown suits have come for us quite yet. Anybody get that historical reference? Put it in the chat if you get it. I don't think anybody. I don't think the SS is coming for us quite yet. But you never know. Perhaps November 6th, or at least January 22nd. But anyway, that's so that's where we are right now. So it is 8:05 Eastern Time, TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight with you for the Tuesday, July 16, 2024. I've had sharing privileges. Wah, return. Where's those angelic sounds? I need a sounder of like the angelic sort of thing. So we have shared the program to trying to keep it a little humble and stay under the radar. We've shared to 60 something, he said, places, 60 something places across the Facebook universe. I want to say it was 61. Yeah, 62. Okay. Tried to keep it a little more humble and try to fly under the radar of the algorithm. We've shared to 62 places this evening as well on Facebook as well. So if you want to be a part of the program, if you want to send comments, questions, agree with me, disagree with me, I have to say, it was very reticent to go onto Twitch because I've not heard great things about it. And I'm just saying that to be honest. The feedback that had been given back to me about going on Twitch was not good. And I have to say, our Twitch experience so far has been really quite brilliant. There's been a couple of, just ridiculous comments in there, and you just ignore them, and eventually they pass. But for the most part, folks who have been kind enough to check out our program and engage with me through Twitch have been great. They have not all agreed, and nobody has to. They have not all thought to them, they've actually expressed like, well, I haven't exactly used the word boring, but you're pretty stale. Stale isn't the right word either. I'm not standing on top of the desk, screaming, foaming at the mouth, calling names, things like that, which I think sadly political talk has descended into more and more, and so perhaps I am a little boring, and maybe I'm boring for Twitch. It might be, but the folks who have given us a chance so far on Twitch have been lovely. They really have been. They've asked questions. They've engaged in the conversation. They haven't all agreed, and they don't have to all agree. I'm very uncomfortable. This shirt's very tight. I must be gaining weight again. I don't know what's happening. But they've been lovely so far. They really have been. So if you're watching us on Twitch, on our Twitch channel, I hope you'll continue to engage with us and be part of the program. Ask questions, agree, disagree. Your questions and your comments really do help push the conversation. If there's something that you want to weigh in on, that we might be weighing in on that particular night, then by good, become part of it. So we are live on my LinkedIn page. We're live on our Twitch page. We are live on, we might be live on Twitter, actually, because I think I clicked on it. Well, I could go to Twitter and find out, perhaps. I think we are. So where are we? Facebook, YouTube, That Other Side of Information on YouTube. My LinkedIn, pretty sure my Twitter, I think, because I think I just clicked on it and gave it a shot. It seems to be temperamental in the ways that it works. What am I forgetting? My brain just shut down. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I think that's everything. I think that's it. And of course, we are only into week 3. George, is it 3? Crap. I need to look at a calendar. Blimey, yes, we're only into week 3 of GCPR Live. I actually put the link to the homepage into the chat. I've done it yet again. GCPR.live. Go to our website, check us out. You can find everywhere where you can find the programming on GCPR. George is fresh off another massively successful airing of the Help Desk. And of course, coming up after us, it's Tuesday. Let me find my schedule quickly. There's no one on directly after us tonight, but remember, every weeknight, and I think 7 days a week, believe it or not, I think that's what my schedule says, at a minimum weeknights, Conversations with T. Nathan from 11 p.m. You need to check it out. And as always, if you ever miss any of our program, you can catch the recorded version on our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. Our YouTube, That Other Side of Information. We still do not have all of the we still do not have all of the social media merged as it should have been, as we wanted to when we launched, but you can still find us. Go to the websites right there on the screen, www.gcpr, Ghost Claw Productions Radio.live, not gcprlive.com, gcpr.live, and you can find us anywhere. There's really nowhere we can't be found. And please, if you enjoy what you're hearing on the station, not just me, but the sound of coffee, the help desk, T. Nathan, and all the programming, then please share. Share it on your social media, share it with your friends, share it wherever you think it's appropriate. It's how a startup like this is going to survive, is with your help. So let's get to the program, shall we? Oh, and well, no, I said all that, didn't I? I did get through the business end, didn't I? George knows exactly what's happening in my brain right now, that there are several pre-scripted things that are built into my brain that I was going to launch into, and then realized I'm not on those platforms right now. So, let's reset button, hopefully. Anyway, let's get into the big stories of the day. There's actually a few that I want to get into. And among them is day 2 at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, in its second day at Nuremberg. Milwaukee. Anybody get that one? Put that in the chat if you got that one. Bonus points for you if you got that. No monetary prizes because we're broke, but points. Point prizes if you got the reference, get the Nuremberg reference. And today, they were focused on immigration. And when I say focused, means they were lying about immigration. The only time in the modern era, post-Reagan modern era, and by the way, it was Ronald Reagan who granted the largest mass blanket amnesty to all of the quote-unquote illegals of any president. It was Reagan that granted a blanket amnesty to millions of undocumented immigrants. Why did he do that? Because the corporations who paid for him, who owned him, wanted cheap labor. and they wanted to destroy unions. And they were successful. The private sector union labor participation rate was around 37% when Reagan came to power. It is now about 6%. It has actually increased. It was a low of about 4.7%, and it has actually increased of late, particularly under President Biden. Just the truth. It's just the truth of it. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like what I just told you. But sorry, grass is green, the sky is blue. That said, day 2 at the RNC, or as Randall mentions, the NRC. You got it. Randall got it. Focused on immigration, or is focusing, because it is taking place as we speak, on immigration. And they have lied about immigration all day long. The only time that you ever hear that the American southern border is quote unquote open is when a Democrat is in the White House. Days after President Biden was sworn in, you had Ted Cruz, Hawley, Grassley, Marsha Blackburn, all these Republican senators running around talking about how the southern border was open. How Biden had opened the border. Now, he'd only been sworn into office for a few days. He had not actually changed anything different from the Trump administration. But they ran around spewing all over the media that the border was open because they wanted to create a border crisis. And they did. And it was not particularly well handled by the Biden administration. However, net immigration is now down. Crime throughout the country is down. Crime among immigrants is down. And deportations are up. They are the highest that they have been since the Obama administration. And let us remember, by the way, President Obama, in his 8 years, deported more people than all the administrations prior to him combined. So you had a blanket amnesty, easy for me to say, or not. You had a blanket amnesty with Reagan and the highest deportation rate with Obama. So today is Immigration Day at Nuremberg, and you've not heard a truth about it yet. Anybody surprised? I sure as hell wouldn't be. You're not going to hear much truth this week. You're just not. You're not going to hear much truth this week. And you certainly are not hearing it about immigration. So again, you'll like it or not. If you're listening to me and you disagree with me, agree with me, whatever it might be, the truth is exactly that. The truth. Net immigration is down. Deportations are up. Crime in general, because Republicans always connect or try to connect immigration with crime. Any skin that doesn't look like this is automatically criminal in some way. When the statistics do not and cannot lie that crime is down. Crime related to undocumented people is down. Murders are down. Thefts are down. Grand larceny is down. All across the country. The statistics are what they are. And they are Department of Justice and FBI statistics. An FBI that is still run by a Trump appointee. The truth is what it is. So today is Immigration Day at Nuremberg. Something that's coming out of Project 2025, so that's one story. Something that's coming out of Project 2025 that seems to be gaining some traction. And I continue to see some more and more articles floating around Newsweek, CNBC, and some others. I think even the Wall Street Journal did an article on it, if I'm not mistaken. And I might be. Part of Project 2025, and Trump has said this himself, is he would like to eliminate the income tax. Now, let me just ask you, just off the top of your head, no deep thought, no Google searches, just off the top of your head, the elimination of income taxes, what do you suppose that benefits? For years, the Republican Court-poration was trying to sell you on the flat tax. And I actually had somebody clap back at me on Facebook, might as well be a flat earther, about the flat tax, that was an answer to all of our tax problems. No forms to fill out, no nothing, just lop a percentage off the top. To which, of course, I responded, you can't be that stupid. Let's for the fun of math, for the ease of math, let's say that we make a 10% flat income tax. 10% of 10,000 is 1,000. It leaves you with $9,000. 10% of $1 billion is still $100 million, but it leaves you with $900 million left. Who does a flat tax hurt more? Who do sales taxes hurt more? Who do consumption taxes hurt more? Who do licensing and license fees hurt more? Who do parking meters, speeding tickets, parking tickets hurt more? Trump doesn't want to eliminate the income tax to benefit you. It's to benefit the people that own him. And oh, by the way, it was the Reagan administration that changed the definition of stock dividends. They are not income anymore. They're not even charged an income tax. That's capital gains. Oh, by the way, Trump wants to get rid of those too. So if you're a hedge fund manager, like J.D. Vance was, you won't pay income tax. You won't pay capital gains tax. Oh, and by the way, he also wants to eliminate corporate taxes. Where do you think all of that money is going to get made up to fund the government? But then again, we don't have to fund the government under Project 2025, do we? Because we're going to eliminate the Department of Education. We're going to eliminate the EPA. We're going to eliminate the Energy Department. Going to eliminate all the financial regulatory agencies. So maybe we don't need all that money. When Reagan dropped the top marginal tax rate from 74% to 25%, his own advisors had to come to him and say, we have to raise taxes. There's no money left. We can't fund the government. And so where did the Reaganites go? Where did the rich and corporate owners of the Reagan administration go? Of this neoliberal, libertarian fantasy. Where did they go? They started taxing Social Security benefits. Started taxing unemployment. They emptied the mental institutions, creating the homeless crisis. They cut government funding for student aid for higher education, creating the student debt crisis. They printed money. They borrowed money from the Chinese, from the Saudis, from the Japanese. The goal of which, of course, through the entire thing was to make sure that the rich never had to pay. And remember, Reagan didn't just cut the income tax. He cut the capital gains tax from about 35% to 15%. He also changed the rules that CEOs, previously, it was illegal to pay them in stock. It had to be a regular income, just like you and me, a paycheck, a regular good old paycheck. Reagan changed that. And you might think to yourself, well, what's a big deal about that? You know, if a CEO makes the stock price rise, it's good for everybody, right? No, it's good for the stockholders. And plus, the capital gains tax rate was only 15%. So you could pay 25% on your income or 15% on your stock dividends. And when you're being paid in millions of shares of stock, you're paying even less taxes. Oh, and let's not forget he cut the corporate tax rate from 50 down to 25, I think it was. From 50% to 25, and eliminated the entire tariff and import tax system. So eliminating, you know, and for those of you who may not be familiar with where we are here, the show is based in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We are in the Lehigh Valley, the eastern part of Pennsylvania. I'm 10 minutes from the New Jersey border. And every now and then, especially when they're getting desperate and they think they're going to get their asses handed to them in an election, Republicans will trot out how they want to eliminate property taxes. Property taxes are such a burden. Well, to be honest, they are. They're also distributed unfairly. And you might think, well, rich people pay property taxes and they would pay more money because they have more expensive properties. Yeah, they also know how to put their properties in trusts. They know how to put them in shell corporations. And there's only so many dramatically high isn't that interesting? That just got very quiet when I did that. Huh. I'm sorry, I'm trying something new here. That's very strange. Interesting. Well, that is strange. Okay. I'm trying something new with the phone tonight. We'll get to that in just a second. But it has fundamentally changed what I'm hearing in my own ears, which is, I'm not sure that's a good thing, to be honest. Anyway. Oh, and now it's doing funky things, folks. I keep trying to make this show better, and it just keeps biting me in the posterior. Republicans will trot out this idea that we have to eliminate property taxes. Okay, great. Well, how do you make up the money? Well, we'll increase the sales tax. We'll increase the income tax because, after all, everybody pays those things, not in the same proportion. We'll increase license fees. We'll increase penalties for crimes. We'll increase application fees, blah, 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 blah. All things that disproportionately affect the poorest among us, and then working up. And that's what this would do. Eliminating income taxes is not meant to help you. It's meant to eliminate the tax burden from the richest among us. I've mentioned on the program before, it's just history. It is simple history. Look it up. While not the only reason that the Roman Empire fell, one of the major reasons was that the richest in Roman society got tired of paying for the empire. The gentry, the generals, the senators, the prefects, the regional governors, they decided, why are we paying for this? We will stop paying. Let the masses pay. Except the masses didn't have any money to pay. And their payments still couldn't equal what was needed to run the empire. And so the empire began to shrink. The furthest outposts were left undefended and unsupplied. Some of those settlements and soldiers themselves blended into the local population. It's pretty well known that there are Roman soldiers and their families in the furthest outposts in Britain, that not all of them went back to Rome. Some stayed and just mixed in with the locals. And the same thing will happen. The same thing will happen here. If you eliminating taxes is not being done for you. It's for rich people so they can pay even less. And I would then ask you, and to me, it all comes down to the same thing. It all comes down to this inescapable fact that three white men, three middle-aged white men in the United States have as much wealth as 200 million Americans. Just three. Just three. Think about it. Elon Musk is worth about $250 billion. He could pick any random hour of the day and spend $1 million a minute and still have only spent $60 million of his $250 billion net worth. Mr. Musk's personal net worth is more than some nations. The three of them combined is more than about half the GDP of the nations on Earth. Like the GDP of the poorest country on Earth, Haiti, is only about $1.3 billion. Musk is worth $250 billion. It's obscene. It's obscene. It might just be the single most unchristian thing in this country. Arguably. And so do you think eliminating taxes on him is good for you somehow? Somehow that benefits you? I can tell you this, and I think that you know this. I think you all know this. I think even Republicans know this. Even self-identified Republicans know this. If eliminating income taxes was so harmful to the billionaires, do you really think they would be supporting it? I'm not talking about the patriotic millionaires who are members of the billionaire class and the top 1%, 2%, who are openly lobbying the government to have them pay more money. I'm talking about these fascist billionaires, the ones behind Project 2025. The billionaire class, the part of the billionaire class, which believe me is way more than not. Do you really think this billionaire class that has decided that democracy is no longer convenient for them, that fascism is the way to go so they can hoard even more riches? What on earth is it? Well, I realize he has like 11 or 13 children, Elon Musk, so he's got some bills to pay, doesn't he? But not $250 billion worth. He couldn't spend that in a lifetime if he made an effort. Mr. Bezos is worth roughly the same, and Mr. Zuckerberg is in that ballpark as well. You're talking about three men whose combined net worth is anywhere from 2/3 to 3/4 of $1 trillion. Three people. So do you really think? And then that doesn't even mention the Mercers, what's left of the Koch family, Peter Thiel, Jeffrey Yass, and I could keep going. The DeVos family, all these billionaires who have made a conscious decision that democracy is no longer convenient for them, and that it's no longer necessary for them to hoard more and more and more and more money. This very tiny circle of people and the former functioning political party that they own and operate, and the employees that they pay, have made a determination that the rest of you are only good for two things. They're only good for two things. You are only good for two things. To either generate wealth for them, either through your labor or your consumerism, or that you have some sort of wealth that they can extract from you. And then there's a third category. That if you are not in either of the first two categories, you are expendable. You are expendable. Education? No, you can't afford it. Healthcare? Nope, can't afford it. Housing? Nope. You're throwaway. You are a broken plastic fork. What happens when you break a plastic fork at a barbecue? You throw it away and you get another one. That's what you are. This very, very, very small number of people have decided that about you and for you without your input, because they don't give a you know what you think, because they own everything. Can you generate wealth for me through your work or buying my product? Yes, you may live. Do you have a personal little nest egg that we can pluck and pick and take from with stock transaction fees and, watching your retirement for you and banking fees? And you do? Okay, great. You may live. The rest of you are neither of the first two categories. Begin your trail of tears. There's another history reference for you. We'll see who got that one. The march begins in that direction. Two more stories I want to get to quick. I shouldn't say quickly. I mean, we have 19. Well, no, there's nobody on after us. We've got about 20 minutes left of the program. So there's two more things I want to get to. As we talked about yesterday, Trump made his VP pick. It's the junior senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance. He's only 39 years old. He's an investment banker by trade, a vulture capitalist, the kind of guy who goes in, buys companies, leverages debt, tremendous amounts of debt, never really puts his own fortune behind anything, buys companies, and then piles all of that debt onto the company, thus forcing bankruptcy of the company. They go to court, get themselves out from underneath the pension and retirement systems, and then sell off the pieces of the company. Because in that type of high finance, the sum is not greater than the parts. You can sell off the parts for a profit. And then, of course, the pension liability, the debts, the environmental damage, depending on the company, of course, is just left for government to take care of. That's Mr. Vance, a Yale graduate. The next time you hear Republicans bitch and cry about Northeastern Ivy League elites, Mr. Vance graduated from Yale, as did his wife. His wife is a San Francisco-based, tell me that's not ironic, very accomplished. And congratulations to her for it. She's a Yale graduate as well. They met at Yale and got married a year after graduation. And good for them. They love each other. Awesome. They have, by all indications, a lovely family. One that I wish nothing other than happiness and health to and for. So Mrs. Vance is a very accomplished lawyer. She's nationally renowned at a very prestigious firm based in San Francisco. She has also clerked for Justices Chief Justice John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh. And so you see now how the circle is complete. They're all employed by the same people. They're all part of the same corporation. The House members, the senators, Trump, They're part of the executive division of the corporation. Roberts, Kavanaugh, Gorsuch, Thomas, Alito, Barrett, most of the time, are part of the, and then of course judges like Cannon in Florida, the judge in Texas who, ruled that mifepristone is illegal. They're all that's part of the judicial division of the great billionaire Republican corporation. This court especially does not employ people as clerks who disagree with the justice they are clerking for. I guarantee you Mrs. Vance was not clerking for Chief Justice Roberts so that she could argue against his positions. She was there to justify his positions. And I don't just mean through writing opinions for him. I think that this Supreme Court, when it accepts cases, when it takes cases, when it hears cases, already knows what the decision is. I think this court is working backward. They knew they wanted to overturn Roe. They needed a case, and then they needed to somehow work backward to justify the decision. They knew they were going to overturn Chevron because that's what their corporate owners told them to do. They worked backward from the decision. Okay, we're going to overturn this. Now go find me some legal justification for it. And if you can't, then just make something up. The white Christian nationalists who are part of the ownership group wanted affirmative action overturned. So this court obliged them and then had to work backward to find a justification for it. And in the midst of all of this was Mrs. Vance. And that's kind of philosophy, quote unquote, air quotes, that she's bringing to the possible vice president. One last thing I want to get to. The president of the Teamsters actually spoke at the RNC yesterday. I seem to have lost it. I had the article up, forgive me. I'm trying to find it again, sorry. Jeez. I can't type. Forgive me. Sorry. I was trying to find the article. Where did I have that article? Oh, crap. Goodness. I closed it by mistake. So, he spoke at, there it is. That'll work. Okay. The Teamsters president, his name is Sean O'Brien. And properly good old-fashioned Irish name, Sean, S-E-A-N, the way God intended it. O'Brien. And he spoke at the RNC. And what I think was interesting, I had one of my Republican friends who was actually in attendance at the RNC in Nuremberg, try to convince me that times are changing, the unions are coming, turning the Republicans. Well, I mean, needless to say, I would beg to differ. But I read an article from The Guardian, actually, about his speech. So this is from Alice Herman of The Guardian. She is in Milwaukee on the ground covering the RNC. In an unprecedented address, Sean O'Brien, the president of the powerful Teamsters Union, delivered remarks at the Republican National Convention on Monday night. In addressing the convention, O'Brien broke with most major unions in the U.S., which have overwhelmingly thrown their support to President Joe Biden. During his speech, O'Brien thanked Donald Trump for, quote, opening the RNC's doors to the union. O'Brien is right by doing that. Previous RNCs have not even welcomed unions. In fact, they tend to have their conventions in non-union locations. Back to the article. Whose leaders have never spoken at the Republican National Convention and shot back at criticism over his willingness to appear at the former president's invitation. I believe Mr. O'Brien was right for going and speaking. I think he did the right thing. It's how he was received. We'll get to that as we go through the article. But he was right to go. If you're a progressive, why should you occasionally, as much as you can stomach it, watch Fox News? Because you do want to know what they're saying. You want to know what they're saying, how they're saying it, what they're lying about, and how to fight back against it. The same way that they will watch MSNBC on occasion. You have to know what the other side's talking about and able to speak against it. And you also want to open your... Why did Bernie Sanders do a Fox News town hall? Because they're Americans too and they vote, was his answer. And they deserve to hear a different point of view. Because, and I was at that town hall, right here in Bethlehem, 10 minutes from here. On the property of Bethlehem Steel. A steel mill that Ronald Reagan told us all would sustain our families for another century. And Bernie Sanders had a live town hall. And they said, why would you do this? And he said, because your viewers are Americans too. And they deserve to hear what I have to say. They deserve to hear a different point of view. And they may agree with me and they might not. But they'll never hear my point of view on your channel unless it comes directly from me. To which he got a rousing ovation. You know, if you want to sell something, what do? You go where the people are. You want to sell diapers? You market to mothers. You want to sell ice cream? You get out in the summer. Let me return to the article. I travel all across this country and meet with my members every week, said O'Brien. I see American workers being taken for granted, workers being sold out to big banks, big tech corporations, and the elite. Well, who the hell does he think he was talking to at the RNC? The people on the floor might be blue-collar people, but not the owners of the corporation. Backlash from, quote-unquote, the left, O'Brien said, is why it's so important for me to be here today. That comment, followed by his resounding exclamation that Trump proved himself to be one tough SOB after the assassination attempt on Saturday, drew standing ovation from the crowd. For the rest of his speech, and here we go. This will tell you everything about the rally at Nuremberg. Sorry, Milwaukee. For the rest of his speech, O'Brien railed against corporate greed. Long-term, quote, long-term investment in the American worker, unquote, and implored lawmakers to seek bipartisanship in Congress. Does he know where he was? Again, Mr. O'Brien may have made a connection with a handful of people, delegates who were actually on the floor, quote unquote regular Americans, but not the owners of the Republican Corporation. Those are exactly the people he's railing against. Quote, most legislation is never meant to go anywhere, said O'Brien. It's all talk, and in America, talk isn't cheap. It's expensive. It comes at the cost of our own country. And this is the real thrust of the article, the real thrust of why Mr. O'Brien, to a point, I don't necessarily agree with it. I understand why he went. He was invited. If I was invited to the RNC to speak, I'd go too. They'd probably kill me. I don't think I'd make it out, because I wouldn't lie to them any more than I lie to any of you. I'd tell them the damn hard truth of their reality, that the people they are there to worship hate them, that the very man they're supporting to return to the White House couldn't give a flying shit about them. They wouldn't want to hear it. They'd boo me right the hell out of there. They'd probably carry me off stage. And they might beat the hell out of me or shoot me on my way out. But I wouldn't lie to them. And I think this is the real interesting part of the article. So, well, from that standpoint, I think it's wonderful that Mr. O'Brien went there. I just don't know what the hell he thought he was going to accomplish. And he did besmirch his own union and really crossed his own membership by doing it. We'll see how much longer he's the president of the Teamsters. By the way, well, I think it's in here. I'll try to get to it. Here's what I think the thrust of the article in the night is. And I think to an extent it actually shows, demonstrates, displays just how far gone some of these folks are, how deep into the cult they are. I return to the article. During his remarks, the crowd often seemed puzzled and sat in a silence, punctuated occasionally by applause when Mr. O'Brien spoke in more general terms about America's elites. O'Brien's decision to appear at the Republican convention came just hours after Trump announced that he had chosen the right-wing populist Ohio junior Senator J.D. Vance to run alongside him on the Republican ticket. Vance, who has invoked his family's Midwestern and Appalachian roots in a nod to working-class voters, has embraced populist rhetoric while touting a less-than-friendly labor record. Shocker. I hope you were sitting down for that one. Vance opposed the PRO Act, which organized labor rallied around, and introduced legislation that would legalize company unions, not corporate labor formations outlawed by the National Labor Relations Act in 1935. Here's the interesting thing. When O'Brien met with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, here's the real reason Mr. O'Brien was invited to speak. And again, this is from the article. When Mr. O'Brien met with Trump at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, and when the union leader donated $45,000 to the Republican National Committee, it sparked outrage from progressive members. By the way, it was at that meeting where Trump invited him to speak at the RNC. So Mr. O'Brien paid $45,000 to speak at the RNC and have the delegates stare at him like he had purple skin. I can't tell you what a difference in my life 10% of that would make. $4,500. Richard Hooker Jr., the Secretary-Treasurer of Teamsters Local 623 and Vice President of the Philadelphia AFL-CIO board, has on multiple occasions spoken out against the union's increasingly friendly relations with the Republican Party. Quote, Republicans have been, for the most part, not for the most part, for damn near for entirely since Reagan, anti-union, anti-labor, and anti-working class, said Hooker. Labor has to be together. We have to take a position like the AFL-CIO. Sean Fain said Donald Trump is a scab. And that's the same language that all of us should use. Mr. O'Brien tried to curry favor with Republicans by buying it. And then when he tried to deliver some ounce of truth to them, they stared at him in dumb silence. Even God said the Israelites freed from Egypt had to wander the desert for 40 years until that generation passed on before they were allowed to pass into the promised land. I suspect many of those delegates are part of that initial generation before they can pass into the promised land. 9 p.m., that's the end of our program for tonight. We thank you for being here. Little bit of a break, 2-hour break. Go take the dog for a walk, get some milk and cookies, popcorn, whatever it is that you need to do. Maybe try to stomach a little bit of the rally at Nuremberg. And I actually do think that you should watch a little bit of it and see what's coming from that side. It's still important to hear both sides, even when they're lying to you. At least you should hear what the lies are and how just ridiculous some of them are. I think I made it through about 2 minutes of Carrie Lake tonight before I couldn't, it was just all theatrics and histrionics. But regardless, that's it for us for tonight. TKE Tonight returns tomorrow, Wednesday, from 8 p.m. It'll be day 3 at Nuremberg. We'll talk about it. I got a fancy new phone cord that's supposed to allow phone sound to go through our mixing board. We didn't get a chance to test it tonight. Let's try tomorrow, shall we? Let's have a conversation. Please, on all of our social media, give us a like, a subscribe, a share, a whatever the hell all the damn terms are, depending on, Facebook, it's a like and a share. YouTube, it's a subscription. TikTok, it's a follow. Instagram is a follow. All of it. Whatever it is that you need to do, please check us out on social media. Give us a like, subscribe, follow. Not just me, Jeff Kennedy, but all of us here at GCPR Live. For everyone associated with and surrounding and a part of Ghost Claw Productions Radio, GCPR.live. Thank you for being here. Great to be part of GCPR. Proud, humbled to be part of it. For everybody here at TKE Tonight, Lynn and George Dare, Kristen, Daisy the dog, and somehow still Guy the cat downstairs. I'm Jeff Kennedy. We've done about all the damage we could do for one night. Thank you for being here. We'll talk to you tomorrow night for a quick hitter, an hour. TKE Tonight tomorrow. We'll see you then. 11 p.m. Take the dog for a walk, get some popcorn, whatever you got to do to kill 2 hours. Come back, Conversations with T. Nathan from 11 p.m. right here on GCPR. We'll see you tomorrow night. Take care of yourselves and each other.